Hey guys, how is everyone? I've just got back from yoga. My hair is questionable. I don't have any makeup on. I was going to try and make myself look nicer for this video, but I think when you're talking about mental health, it's quite, I don't know, I just am all about really being very open and honest and revealing my real bare self. So this is it for today. I've been away this weekend, so I haven't had time to do a 10 reasons why. And I've wanted to do a mental health Q&A for a really long time. I hope these videos are helpful to some people. I got quite a lot of questions when I posted about it. So yeah, I'm going to answer some of your questions. Next week's video is going to be a Christmas vlog because I'm going home on Friday for Christmas. Anyway, this week's mental health Q&A. Let's begin. I'm reading these off my laptop, so excuse me if I look down sometimes. How did you tell your parents about your mental health problems? I'm scared of telling mine. The thing is, it's quite difficult with parents because all parents parent differently. My parents aren't super open parents. They're not like hugely open-minded, like they don't know that I'm bisexual. I wouldn't tell them. I kind of met a girl and had a girlfriend, then I would obviously tell them that, but I haven't felt it necessary to tell them that, to be honest. Mental health problems. My parents I've known for a while that I had anxiety, obviously not to the degree they didn't realise because I didn't tell them for a long time. I find it quite difficult to talk to my parents about stuff like that. My dad has had mental health issues when he was younger and throughout his life a bit, so he was a bit easier. My mum hasn't really experienced it properly, so doesn't really understand. Whether you're my parent, my sister, my friend, my boss, whoever, if you haven't really experienced it, I don't really want to talk to you about it that much because you won't understand and the conversation is just a bit of a dead end. I think it was the Sunday when the twins were at my flat and I called this psychiatric hospital and said, I need to see a doctor today. I actually don't know if I can get past today. I think around then I obviously must have called my mum and told her what I was doing. They definitely took it obviously more seriously because up until that point it was just kind of anxiety sometimes and kind of overreacting to a lot of life stresses. Obviously when I got to the point where I couldn't work and it was quite to a suicidal point, then obviously I would tell them because I couldn't have normal conversations with them on the phone about what I was doing in life, because what I was doing in life was losing my fucking mind. It all depends on how close you are to your parents. I'm close to them. I'm not like, I don't tell them everything like my sisters do. I have a bit of a different relationship with my parents than my sisters do. I clash with them on a few life choices I've made. They don't like my YouTube channel. They don't like the fact I don't have a proper 9-to-5 job, a stable job, all of that. So we do clash on quite a lot of things. When I feel anxious nowadays, I don't tell my parents. My mum is a massive worrier. She would worry about me all night if I told her that, so I just don't tell them anymore. My mum came with me to one of the meetings with my psychiatrist actually because I wanted her to gain a better understanding of it all. I'm not sure she really did, but it was nice that she tried and she came with me anyway. So no, it wasn't hard telling them, but I'm not close enough to my parents that my parents came up to London all the time and were with me. I had friends and sisters for that, so that wasn't really necessary. But don't be scared of telling yours. I mean, parents are just, you know, they're parents, but they're not. They don't have to be the people you tell if you don't want to. I think that people get a bit over the top about parents knowing everything. I don't really think they need to. Sorry, Mum and Dad. Tips for dealing with difficult days. I've had a lot of difficult days recently with the egg freezing, and then I got the flu, and then I had a sinus infection, and then I fucked my hip so I couldn't exercise. It's been a very bad December for me. How do I deal with difficult days now? Here's the thing, right? We all wake up, we all go to bed. A day is just a day. Because I've gone through it so many times, I know if I feel like I'm losing my mind or I feel like I don't have panic attacks anymore. I did almost have one last Sunday. When I'm in that zone, that panic zone, I'm very aware that it's happening, but also I do know it will end. It always ends, whether that takes a whole day, 2 days. I'm not saying the anxiety ends and what you're going through ends, but that panic attack feeling ends. I've been feeling a bit anxious today, but now I have no anxiety. I just did yoga, it was lovely. So I just know that anxious feeling will end. You just have to get through that day as best you can without adding to that panic. So that's probably my biggest tip for difficult days, is just know that it will end. You just don't always know when, but you know, that's the difference, isn't it, between carrying on and giving up, and without sounding too harsh, you know, ending your life. I think people end their lives because they don't, I mean, I know, because that's how I felt, you don't think you'll ever stop feeling like that, but the thing is you always will. It's just you don't know when, and that's the hard part. I hope I answered that question well. What do you think society needs to do for people with mental health problems to prevent suicide attempts? I do still find it difficult talking about suicide. I find it difficult reading about people that have killed themselves. I find it difficult knowing anyone that has. It's very close to home for me, and it takes me a few days. Even when it's someone like Brittany Murphy or Robin Williams or whoever it is, it takes me a few days to kind of reset and get back to my life, because it just brings back memories for me. I honestly think what society needs to do is start with children, start in schools. I understand all like the biology and the chemistry and all those kind of stuff, but when you're talking about general studies or sex education, I mean, all that is a load of shit. Like, I think it needs to start in schools, 100%. I've always had anxiety. I can trace it back to very young, to when I was about 12 and I got like stutters, and I had twitches because I was really stressed doing gymnastics, and I was doing it to quite a high level and it was really stressful, and I got twitches and stutters and I got sent to a child psychiatrist. I can trace mine back, but at the time and throughout my school days and uni days and gap year days and London days, whatever, I've always had it at various points. Obviously it hit a much worse point when I was kind of 27, when I had a really bad breakdown, but before that I'd always had anxiety. But the weird thing is, no one ever told me it was anxiety. Like, no one had a conversation with me. I had no idea what it was. I think I just thought I was really sensitive. Like, at school I would get really panicky about revision and exams, but like way more than everyone else. And if there had just been a part of school, like a lesson about life, you know, this is anxiety, this is depression, these are the symptoms, this is what you can do to get help. I just think that would make it all so much easier, and then children are equipped to deal with whatever issues they have. I honestly think that would have really helped me, because I just didn't know what was going on the whole time, and that, I think, was why it was so bad. What are the first indicators of mental health problems or symptoms? I have a lot of people that I speak to that talk about anxiety, and they say, I have anxiety, I have depression, and I think these words get flung around. I flung them around for years. I used to say I have depression, I have anxiety. I mean, I did at various points, I guess, until I had my massive 2 breakdowns, but I think until it gets to the point where it overtakes your life and you are blindsided by it, like it becomes you and your whole existence is about your illness, is when I think obviously it becomes a massive problem. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I couldn't talk to people, I couldn't sit down for lunch, for dinner, I couldn't engage in conversation, I couldn't work. Everything was about anxiety, and that is when it's bad and you need to get help. What advice would you give to someone who's still within the first year of their breakdown, as every day is so hard still? I think it's just important to know that when you're recovering, this is something I'm constantly learning, by the way, I haven't perfected it. It takes so much time. When you've got into bad habits, so I've had bad mental health habits for 10 years, maybe even 15 years. So my brain is used to freaking out over certain things. And so imagine like your brain being trained to overreact like that for like 10 years. And then you start recovering however you're doing that. That is not going to happen overnight, because it takes such a long time to retrain your brain. I'm constantly retraining my brain every day. And the patience thing was a big thing for me. I am always learning about the patients because I have none. With mental health, you don't actually have a choice, because it can take such a long time to really recover from it. I'm not recovered. I don't know if I ever will be, I don't know, but to know that I can now live with it and have a very happy life, and I'm ambitious, I can work, you know, I'm standing on my own 2 feet. I'm doing everything I couldn't when I had my breakdown. So, you know, that's my recovery, really. Just talk to people about it. I talk to random people about it, and I get so many people being like, oh my God, like, I feel exactly the same, and you'd never know unless you had that conversation. So all those things I find really helpful. Working out, I guess what makes you happy Because before my breakdown I was so lost. I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know what made me happy, and my breakdown actually physically forced me to work that out. Obviously that can take a lot of time too, but just thinking, what do you really like to do, and doing more of that. Yeah, so all that, and just be very fucking patient, my friend. Are you now grateful for your breakdown? I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am for my breakdown. Do I wish I'd never had one? Obviously, absolutely. Who I am now is, I honestly don't even recognise myself in the mirror. I was so codependent before, didn't know what the fuck I was doing in life. I was floating around, had no direction. I depended on everyone for happiness. Constantly made plans with people because I couldn't physically be by myself and spend time with my thoughts and just being me. Now I love me. I love who I am. I love what I stand for. I love what I do. And I never ever would have had any of those things if it wasn't for my breakdown. That is just absolutely true. What made you speak up and talk about it in the first place? I don't know how to not talk about things. It just comes so naturally to me to talk about how I'm feeling and being honest. And also, I think because I have a platform, I see so many people on Instagram, women talk about fashion and lipstick and shoes and what they're wearing, and I truly don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about any of that. This is obviously a new thing since my breakdown too, to be honest. Like, I used to give a fuck about that kind of stuff. But when you've been through something so dark and you've been to places mentally that you never would wish on your worst enemy, changes you. It has to change you to your core. So I can't really engage in a long conversation about what fucking shoe you're wearing because I don't care. So I just really want to help people, and I know talking about it is the best way to help people. So yeah. What is your view on medication? So medication, right? I have absolutely nothing against medication. I tried many a medication. 5 I think I tried in a row. It was a very turbulent year trying all those. I wanted one to help me so badly. I'm definitely for medication. I think I have a lot of friends that it has really helped and changed their lives, and I think that's absolutely amazing. I never say never, like maybe I'll try another one time, I don't know. I definitely wanted them to help me, but at the time none of them did. I don't know if I tried too many too quickly. All a bit of a blur, to be honest. I thought I was going to lose my mind when I tried Prozac. I was put on antipsychotics. I didn't really understand why I was put on these antipsychotics. They definitely did the opposite. They made me feel fucking mental. Yeah, I'm not against medication. I just didn't find one that made me any better. It's quite a long one. How did you manage to get yourself out of your nervous breakdown? I've literally gone through one myself, had to move home halfway through my degree because I had a panic, and then it spiraled out of control into generalised anxiety disorder. Currently 1 year on CBT, a few months on meds, and I'm still unable to work, drive myself most places, hang out one-on-one with people. How did you begin to rebuild your trust with yourself that things would be okay? Any things you think would help? Okay, so a few things for me. One, I read a book called At Last a Life by Paul David, which I have spoken about numerous amounts of times. It's hands down the best book on anxiety you will ever read in your entire life. Completely changed everything for me, actually. He also has a website called anxietynomore.co.uk, and he has a wonderful blog and community where everyone helps each other, and it's incredible. So I'd definitely do those two things. The game changer for me was probably my first boxing lesson, to be honest. My flatmate said, I tried this new boxing place, I really think you'd love it. I was like, oh, I tried so many different exercise things before because everyone was like, exercise really makes you feel good, and I was like, wow, shut up. And then I did a half-hour lunchtime class at this boxing place called One Rebel in London. Honestly, it's really weird. As soon as I hit that bag, I was like, this is it. I have found my thing. And I was utterly hooked. And so I did more boxing classes and started to be friendly with the people there, and I made some really lovely friends through boxing. And then it opened up this whole new world, which obviously I'm now immersed in as a personal trainer, of people that weren't obsessed with going out and getting drunk, because I couldn't do that anyway. They loved boxing and working out, which I obviously then started to really get into. Had all these amazing new friends. And then I did my personal training qualification, and I think that gave me a purpose. Also, when you're doing something you love, it's not only distracting because you love it, but it means you have a reason to get up. And obviously with exercise there's a lot of endorphins, which is obviously really amazing. Just try different things. I think exercise is a big key factor in for a lot of kind of mentally unwell people. I think just can make you feel amazing. I tried a lot of different things before boxing, so it took me a while to find my thing. But now also I absolutely love yoga, so those two things are so important in my life. I could not be without them. I think the thing with rebuilding trust to think that things will be okay is, you know, talking to a lot of people, especially people who have suffered with anxiety or depression, knowing that everyone is kind of living their life and they're fine, you know, to a degree, they're living their life, is so inspiring to me. It just makes you feel like, oh, actually maybe things are okay and they will be okay and they're not going to be this shit forever. And I think you can only get that really from talking to other people and from reading other people's experiences, because otherwise you don't know things can get better. That I found really helpful. Okay, final one. Is any part of depression, anxiety hereditary? Obviously I'm not a scientist, I don't know everything. I do think mine was hereditary. I think the Hartridges as folks are overthinkers and are definitely prone to anxiety. I have a lot of cousins and there's quite a few of them that have suffered really badly with mental health. I think genes do play quite a large part in it. I'm very like my dad in a lot of ways, and he is a bit of an overthinker. My mum is a huge worrier. She doesn't really get anxiety, but she worries about tiny things for ages. So I definitely do believe mine was quite hereditary. Alice is probably the most normal one out of us. Charlotte definitely had and still does have some mental stuff. Jessica suffers from anxiety. So yeah, I do believe it is hereditary. I'm sure there are many people that would disagree with me, but I do. Alright guys, I think I've spoken for long enough. I really hope some of those questions and answers were helpful. Leave the links to the website and the book that I mentioned down below. Paul David saved my life and I just want to share his stuff as much as I can, so I hope you guys check them out. I'm going to leave my Instagram down below too. I'd love it if you guys followed me on there. I try and be very normal and relatable and not talk just about shoes. So yeah, I'd love you to come follow me. I'm going to go because I'm starving and it's Sunday night and it's pissing down with rain. I'm going to have a little glass of red wine and have a nice Sunday night by myself. So hope everyone is well. Yeah, things always change, guys. So I know sometimes it can be so hard. I completely understand. I've been there a lot, but things always change. So just don't give up. Okay? Love you guys. Bye.
I heard that you walked out again. I heard that